Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the retirement ceremony honoring Senior Master Sergeant Shaun Menard. I am Technical Sergeant Ryan Elliott, and I will be your narrator for today's ceremony. Today, the men and women of the 605th Aircraft Squadron pay special tribute to Senior Menard on the occasion of his retirement from the United States Air Force after 23 years of faithful and honorable uniform military service. The presiding officer of the ceremony is the commander, 605th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Boger. The military retirement ceremony is one of the oldest traditions in the military service, which honors service members and their families as they culminate a distinguished career serving their country. A formal retirement ceremony is designed to leave our retirees and their families with a tangible expression of appreciation for their contributions to the Air Force and its mission, as well as our assurance that they will continue to remain members of our Air Force family. Throughout the ceremony, you will be given cues to rise and be seated at the appropriate times. As a reminder, during the playing of our national anthem, military members should stand at attention, and it is encouraged all civilians place their right hand over their hearts. Please rise for the arrival of the official party, and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by A1C Audrey Stevens and the invocation provided by Chaplain John Gillespie.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what a proudly we hail at the top its last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gently streaming, and scattered clear the bombs bursting in air, came through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say does the star sprinkled by night o'er
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we are here today to acknowledge your goodness and blessing in the 23-year career of Senior Master Sergeant Shaun Menard. During his career, you have been with him at every location, all and everywhere around the world. For this, we thank you. We also recognize that none of that could have been possible without the wonderful support of his wife, Jenna, and children, Rowan and Nora. They've been with him all along the way, supporting him behind the scenes. God, we ask that you would bless them for that. Also, we recognize that you have blessed us all by Senior Master Sergeant Menard's presence, because through his leadership as the first sergeant, we have seen his passion for every individual and the mission, and his genuineness and positivity has influenced us all. We pray that these characteristics would be appreciated in his new endeavors in Wyoming as much as they have been appreciated with us. Therefore, we close by asking for your continued blessing on Senior Menard and his family as they continue in this new chapter in life. In all these things we pray in your name. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, A1C Stevens, for your beautiful rendition of the national anthem, and Captain Gillespie for your inspiring prayer. Before we begin, I'd like to take an opportunity to welcome our civilian and military distinguished guests in attendance today. Senior Master Sergeant Menard's wife, Jenna. Commander, 305th Maintenance Group, Colonel Scott Penley. We're also privileged to have with us today commanders, chiefs, and senior enlisted leaders, teammates, and friends that call Joint Base McGuire Dick Lakehurst, and our first sergeants. Thank you so much for attending. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Vogler.
Well, good morning. It's hard to imagine a perfect setting for this event. Then again, if it was to Sergeant Menard, we'd probably be doing this in a ditch or a culvert somewhere, covered in dirt and sweat, looking more like the backdrop to a Dirty Jobs episode. The best we could do is get some beautiful equipment on loan from our CE brothers. So I'd like to start off with a huge thank you to Lieutenant Colonel Roderick and our civil engineering team that went out of their way to give us this beautiful backdrop. Thank you to the team that put this together. Master Sergeant Bays, Tech Sergeant Elliott, Senior Gomez, A1C Stevens, A1C Greco. A1C Stevens, another killer job on the anthem. You were recognized yesterday for your job yesterday by General Minahan over at Shaun's room, and again, job well done. I don't know if it's the reverb from the hangar or what it is, but it just exceptional. You have a gift. Where'd she go? She left. All right. See that? She's got other things going on. She's popular. Chaplain Gillespie for your invocation, and for the Tear Down crew, every person that had a part, big or small, in putting on this event. Thank you. To our distinguished guests, Colonel Penley, Chief McClendon, thanks for your time. Thanks for showing up. Fellow enlisted leaders, I know we got some first sergeants in the house. Men and women of the 421 Training Squadron, the 305th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, and of course the 605th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, together more than 850 airmen that have been personally affected by Senior Master Sergeant Menard's leadership. And finally, most importantly, Shaun's wife Jenna, as well as the rest of the family, numerous family and friends watching online. Though your presence is missed, we're thankful for the gift of technology that allows us to share this special event together. One of my favorite things about a retirement ceremony is a walk down memory lane. I've had the privilege of working side by side with Shaun for the last 15 months. I think I have a pretty good understanding of his character, his interests, his family, his priorities. What I had no understanding of is how he got to this point. I sat down with him recently to take a walk through those years before we met. Well, Shaun's story begins in 1981 in Ottawa, Canada. Did you know he's Canadian? Eh? That's right. He was born in Ottawa. That's where his father was from, but then the family moved to Louisville, Kentucky when he was 2 to be closer to his mother's family, including his 4 cousins. I could insert a Kentucky cousin joke here, but I'll refrain. Apparently, the big city of Louisville was too much for this little country bumpkin, so when Shaun was 5, they moved to the outskirts of town to a little town called New Hope. How fitting. And New Hope only had a few hundred people. And Shaun claims he was never much the academic. Again, insert Kentucky academic joke here. Okay, enough picking on poor Kentucky. Seriously, from an early age, Shaun was more interested in getting his hands dirty than he was reading books and learning algebra. In high school, rather than play sports, he chose to get a job. Not like a lot of high schoolers, he was cutting grass, laying mulch, doing yard cleanup. But that's pretty much where commonality with a normal high schooler ends. Shaun expanded his craft to include laying concrete, screen printing, construction, other handyman tasks. How many high schoolers do you know do that? 60 hours a week while being in high school. If that doesn't scream work ethic, I don't know what does. He graduated high school and stayed in the area, attending a vocational school and eventually becoming a certified pipe welder. Now, work was good. Life was good. But something was missing. No matter how hard he worked, and he worked hard, the outcome wasn't any different. His paycheck wasn't any big. It wasn't tied to his effort, and he was quite honestly worth a lot more than the effort that he gave. The older guys on his crew saw it. They saw the energy in him. They saw that drive, a character that was worth more. One of his older workers told him, "Young man, you work these hours because you want to. I work these hours because I have to." And that stuck with Shaun to this day because it was a defining moment in his life. It was then that he realized he was worth more than what he was doing. He didn't want to be in a job for the rest of his life, that he had to work hard, long hours, just to make ends meet. He wanted different opportunities. And he heard the guys at work talk about their family or friends that were in the military and how much they enjoyed it. So as fate would have it, driving home that day in his trusty S10 pickup, it let him down. The fuel pump went out in the parking lot of a local recruiter. Well, after a few conversations and an ASVAB test, he decided it was time to enlist. It provided the best opportunity to see new horizons and start the adventure he had heard about. So in the summer of 2000, he signed up to be an aerospace propulsion tech and work on airplane engines. The only problem was he's Canadian. He wasn't a U.S. citizen yet. And although he had his green card and had lived in the U.S. most of his life, that wasn't good enough to get a security clearance, which meant he was ineligible for aerospace propulsion. Now, this initial setback would be enough to get most people flustered, but Shaun always had a positive attitude about everything, and this was no different. He ended up enlisting in Open General and landed in the civil engineering career field as a dirt boy. He entered active duty on September 26, 2000, and after finishing tech school, set off for his first duty assignment in Cheyenne, Wyoming at F.E. Warren Air Force Base. The Dirt Boys represented everything he was about: hard work, great camaraderie, a team player. They always seem to get the dirtiest job that nobody wants, and they do it with pride. They're a different breed, and Shaun took to it like a pig to mud, or should I say it, like a dirt boy to mud. He was immediately recognized for his hard work ethic, his leadership, his potential. His very first performance report said, "Outstanding performer whose infectious positive attitude and steadfast devotion motivates others. The best of my best, my #1 airman. Promote immediately." This is his first EPR, and he's already getting statements like that. Now, every performance report from this point on had similar statements. Shaun Menard was a rock star. He crushed every task given to him and sought out more, including multiple deployments. In 2005, now Staff Sergeant Menard finally received his citizenship. This opened up new opportunities. And after 5 years at F.E. Warren, Staff Sergeant Menard headed off to Korea. Within days of arriving to Korea, he found out the career field was significantly overmanned, and they had to cut positions. His choices were separate or cross-train. But he wasn't done yet, so he elected to cross-train. I've already talked about how visible Shaun's work ethic had been to this point, and the right people noticed, because his work ethic got noticed, and he was offered an opportunity to stay in the Dirt Boys career field. But it would mean leaving Korea and heading back to the States. His only two options were back to F.E. Warren or Pope in North Carolina. Well, been there, done that to one of them, so figured Pope was the right choice. Maybe not so fast. See, Pope was downsizing and converting many of their positions to civilian contractors, and Shaun valued stability and security more. So he headed back to F.E. Warren. Shortly after arrival, he applied and was accepted to the prestigious Airborne Red Horse. Now, basic Red Horse is a huge step up. There's only a few of them, and they're very specialized. Airborne Red Horse is a whole different breed. We're talking jumping out of airplanes, hooah, Army kind of stuff. Sounds great, right? Yeah, too good to be true. The unit he was headed to at Hurlburt was getting reorganized and merging with a group at Nellis. And that meant that Sergeant Menard was staying at F.E. Warren. A few years later, in May 2011, Shaun's hanging out with some friends and gets introduced to the most amazing woman he had ever met. He and Jenna had an almost immediate connection, and things moved quick from there. 8 months later, they were married, and in July 2012, welcomed their first daughter, Rowan. A year later, After a combined 11 and a half years at F.E. Warren, the Menard family packed up and headed north to Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. While he continued to excel at work, Shaun was a definite family man now. Fast forward a couple years, and along comes Nora in August of 16. And although this was not a routine pregnancy and birth, you might say Shaun and Jenna became very familiar with the medical system and how to navigate it. During an ultrasound mid-pregnancy, doctors discovered a significant concern with Nora. They expected Nora to have spina bifida and were uncertain as to how it might complicate birth and after birth. Because J-Bear was not able to handle the medical concerns, this meant an immediate PCS, along with the swirling thoughts of an unknown what it might be with Nora. Walter Reed was the chosen hospital, so Jenna and Rowan headed to Joint Base Langley-Eustis while Shaun oversaw the packing and moving of the household. Well, it turns out Walter Reed couldn't support either. However, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia could. This is one of the most challenging times for Shaun in his career. His career was still accelerating, but his attention was rightly focused on his family's needs. Nora was born in August of 2016, and over the next 3 years, Shaun drove back and forth from Langley up to Philadelphia 17 times for a total of 9 surgeries and various other appointments. He was away from work for 155 days throughout this period, giving the necessary attention to Nora and his family. His leadership at Langley saw something unique in Shaun and pushed him to be a first sergeant. People in relationships have always been at the top of Shaun's mind. He's a people person. The first sergeant role made perfect sense professionally, but Shaun recognized the challenge that it would be with his family situation. So he gave the Air Force an ultimatum. Out of respect for the position and duties to the first sergeant, knowing how much time he might need to spend in Philadelphia, he requested either Dover or Joint Base McGuire-Dix-Lakehurst, neither of which were available at the time. Well, we all know now how that story resolved, and Team Menard showed up to the 421st Training Squadron over the Expeditionary Center here on JBMBL. It was supposed to be a small starter squadron as a first sergeant, but this little thing called COVID hit. And Shaun was tasked with the care and feeding of not only the permanent party 421, but all the students that continued to flow through training during the pandemic. There was no playbook for this scenario. Just figure it out. Failure was not an option, but neither was taking the easy road. This became one of Shaun's most proudest achievements in his time in the Air Force. The other was a situation back at Elmendorf, where the Manpower Office was threatening to cut 7 positions from his already thin workforce. Again, no playbook to defend AFPC. He just had to figure it out. He dug into the details of every position and saved every single one of them, kept them from defended them from getting cut. So these two things have something in common: an outside influence exerting a difficult and no recipe for success. Figure it out. And both times he did. Now his time with the 421 was coming to a close, and he was moving to a larger unit with the 305th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron. He used his experience from the Exceptional Family Member Program, FMP, to help others navigate the challenging process, and once again, Shaun making a valuable difference. But now, having served beyond 20 years, retirement was in his foresight. His out-processing was to begin in April of last year, but a month prior to his final out base and the start of a new chapter, Cheyenne, Wyoming, the Air Force threw another curveball. This time it came in the form of another stripe, some more pay, and additional responsibilities. Well, good news for the 605th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Sergeant Menard decided to stay for just a little bit longer. In the last 18 months, he's done some pretty incredible things. He started coaching Rowan's softball team. Turns out she's really good. They ended up winning the New Jersey State Championship in her age group and got an opportunity to play in the Girls Softball World Series. Jenna fell in love with horses. She started working at Handy Acre Farms right across from Larita Winery, working with Bill Fox and his team, who provide therapeutic horseback riding for military families in EFMP. Shaun finally completed his bachelor's degree in project management. And all that in his spare time. On duty, he led this squadron through some incredible challenges. The transition from the mighty KC-10 to the very complex, sophisticated KC-46. more crises than any other person should have to deal with, and he did it with class. In the only way Shaun Menard knows how to do it, hard work. The job of a first sergeant extends well outside normal duty hours. No offense to the rest of the diamonds in here, but in my humble opinion, the 605th ended up with the best first sergeant on the base. In a year where you could have just sat back and waited for retirement, you accelerated us through some of the hardest challenges we could ever face. I commend you for a job well done. You are the definition of grit, tenacity, hard work, and dedication. I don't even talk about most of your actual work, your performance through the years, your 7 deployments, totaling more than 3 years overseas, all the time you spent with the Army makes you fully joint. Making rank the first try, nearly every rank, scoring the number one, lost my spot here. Earning the highest SKT score in your entire career field for Tech Sergeant. 11 and a half years at FE Warren, and then another 10 and a half years on the Joint Base Tour at Elmendorf, Langley, and McGuire. You've been all over the world, touched thousands of lives, and leave some pretty big shoes to fill. You have earned this retirement, and I wish you nothing but success in your future endeavors in Cheyenne. Jenna, thanks for making the trip back out here today, getting the family already settled in Cheyenne. It's great to see you again. Cherish these moments. It's been 23 years in the making, and we're blessed to have been part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Vogler. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal to Senior Master Sergeant Shaun Menard, and remain standing for the official retirement ceremony.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 3rd Oak Leaf Cluster, to Senior Master Sergeant Shaun M. Menard for outstanding service 15 March 2021 to 31 March 2024. Senior Master Sergeant Shaun Menard distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as First Sergeant, 605th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, 305th Maintenance Group, 305th Air Mobility Wing, Joint Base McGuire, Dix, Lakehurst, New Jersey. During this period, Sergeant Menard served as the First Sergeant for 2 different units and as the Principal Advisor and Mentor for 735 aircraft maintenance professionals. His tireless management of commanders' programs and his servant leadership solidified unit culture and connection with mission requirements. Additionally, Sergeant Menard's vulnerability disclosure, coupled with his abilities to observe and tactfully communicate, fostered a trusting environment and opened doors for personnel's hardships. His experience and counsel encouraged 42 personnel to actively engage supportive resources, maximizing their health and well-being. Finally, Sergeant Menard's promotion of readiness propelled the generation of 4,100 sorties in support of global engagement in Air Mobility Command's largest ever mobilization exercise, Mobility Guardian 23, as well as the largest humanitarian airlift in history. All this resulted in 2 of his members earning the Distinguished Flying Cross and the maintenance group securing Air Mobility Command's Dedalian Trophy. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Menard culminate in a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel Vogler will now retire Senior Master Sergeant Shaun Menard from active duty.
Publish the retirement order.
Attention to orders. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force, Special Order Alpha Charlie 006252, effective 31 March 2024, Senior Master Sergeant Shaun M. Menard is relieved from active duty. 605th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, 305th Maintenance Group, 305th Air Mobility Wing, Joint Base McGuire, Dix, Lakehurst, New Jersey. retired effective 01 April 2024 in the grade of Senior Master Sergeant after 23 years of faithful and honorable service, and is hereby directed to proceed to his home of selection. Go. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. In honor of Senior Master Sergeant Menard's retirement, we will present him with a certificate of retirement. The certificate of retirement reads, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see this, presents greetings. This is to certify that Senior Master Sergeant Shaun M. Menard, having served faithfully and honorably, is retired from the United States Air Force on the 31st of March, 2024. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Colonel Elizabeth A. D. Hanson, Commander, 305th Air Mobility Wing. In addition to the retirement certificates, we are pleased to present you with a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States. It reads, I extend my personal gratitude and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation to you for your patriotic service to our country. Your bravery and dedication in our armed forces help protect your fellow Americans during a critical moment in our history and contributed to a world of greater security and growing prosperity. Your devotion to duty, honor, and country, in keeping with the long traditions of the finest military in the world, embodied the American ideal of selfless service. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Your commitment and the example you set will inspire the future generations to serve with pride and to keep our country secure. You present the best of our nation, and I join our fellow Americans in saluting your honorable service. I wish you happiness and success in your next chapter. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Commander-in-Chief. Senior Master Sergeant Menard has also received a certificate of appreciation from the 19th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bass. It reads, I am proud to join you and your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well-deserved, but your selfless contribution will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, Joanne S. Bass, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. At this time, I'd ask Senior Master Sergeant Menard's wife, Jenna, to please join us on stage with her husband. Jenna, please place this pin on Senior Master Sergeant Menard's lapel to symbolize his transition from active duty to retired status. In the future, each time Senior Master Sergeant Menard wears his uniform or business attire, this pin will serve to remind all that he has served faithfully and has earned his retirement. The pin indicates he is still a member of the Air Force, but now serves in a retired status. Senior Master Sergeant Menard, please wear this pin proudly on any occasion in which you may represent the Air Force. Jenna, please stay on stage. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents the certificate of recognition to Jenna Menard for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your husband's service, given on the 31st of March, 2024. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff, and Colonel Elizabeth Hanson, 305th Air Mobility Wing Commander. Jenna also received a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents this certificate of appreciation to Jenna Menard. I join your husband, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your husband's service in defense of our nation. Signed, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief Joanne S. Bass. I believe Shaun has something for you. Yes.
Those that don't know, we went ahead and positioned ourselves in Wyoming. Oh, sorry. I don't like the microphone. For those that don't know, we positioned ourselves in Wyoming, especially at the head of the school year for our kids, and that way we can start honing in on our retirement home. When we found that home, we closed on the 20th. It's going to be our dream home. I just know it, right? So we will be traveling starting tomorrow. So we didn't want to do the traditional flowers, right? Because obviously the flowers will die. And Jen will also tell you I'm the worst at picking out flowers because maybe that's her background with horticulture and agriculture. I don't know. But I got you a gift. It's a little unique. It's going to be the first thing. You don't have to open it, but it's going to be the first thing that I feel as though that represents our family, describes our family well. And the first thing she's going to be able to hang on the wall when we get home. It's a welcome sign, but it says, welcome to our happy, crazy, fun, loud home. That well represents and describes our children, the chaos that goes on in our house, and the love, the happiness that goes on. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to close. So you can if you want. It's up to you. But yeah. There's another gift in there as well, too. Just a picture that says...
Thanks, sir. Okay. Good. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenna. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now offer a tribute to Senior Master Sergeant Menard and to the flag of the United States of America. Please remain seated and draw your attention to the retirement ceremony flag detail as they bring forward our nation's flag. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolize hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of American has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility and our responsibility to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are, and it stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. At this time, will First Sergeant Holly Hudson and the Joint Base McGuire Dick Lakehurst First Sergeant Council come forward for a special presentation.
So I know you think we're just doing a diamond formation, but we couldn't let you go without embarrassing you for a minute. As one of the more senior members on our council, you have mentored most of us through some situations. We could always trust you for unfiltered advice, unfiltered feedback, which was always enjoyable because you were usually the one saying what the rest of us were thinking. But you always showed up for the council and more importantly for your airmen. Taking over a squadron where you were a first sergeant, I still hear people talk about how much of a difference you made on them. And you're amazing, and we will miss you. But it's time for you to pour back into your family. So we got you a Yeti cup that says from one diamond to the next, happily retired. It has your first sergeant stripes on one side, and then it has a softball diamond on the other. So now you can focus on the softball diamond. We wish you success and joy in retirement and a quiet cell phone. First sergeants, prepare to form the diamond formation. Ladies and gentlemen, the origins of the first sergeant trace back to the 17th century. The Prussian army Feldwebel was the first to introduce the first sergeant. Standing at the top of the non-commissioned hierarchy of rank, He was the overseer of all the company's enlisted personnel. During the American Revolution, General George Washington recognized the importance of designating an officer whose sole purpose was caring for the people. He chose Prussian General Frederick von Steuben for this task. General von Steuben set forth the duties of what would become the first sergeant: to be intimately familiar with the character of every soldier in the company and impress upon their minds the indispensable necessity of the strictest obedience. Throughout American history, military leaders have viewed the first sergeant as the key to the development of a good unit. The order and discipline of the troops, their care and well-being, have always been the focal points of the first sergeant's job. Today, the first sergeant is easily distinguishable from the other enlisted ranks by the diamond in the center of the chevron. Much like actual diamonds, a first sergeant is forged from a life of intense pressure. Like diamonds, first sergeants can be jagged and a little rough around the edges before being cut and polished, of course. And finally, like real diamonds, first sergeants are one of the strongest materials known to man. A first sergeant is indeed one sharp rock. The diamond formation you are witnessing is a rarity. It is only done on the occasion of a first sergeant's retirement. Today, we honor Senior Master Sergeant Menard with this formation and the first sergeant's creed. I am a first sergeant. My job is people, and everyone is my business. I dedicate my time and energy to their needs, their health, morale, discipline, and welfare. I grow in strength by strengthening my people. My job is done in faith. My people build my faith. The Air Force is my life, and I share it with my people. My job is people. Everyone is my business. Thank you, First Sergeants. Fall out. Senior Menard. Senior Menard, you are a part of this council, and you will be missed. Thank you for all you have done for your squadrons, your wings, this base, and more importantly, the enlisted men and women of the United States Air Force. Always remember, diamonds are forever, and they always shine brightly. Good luck. All current and former diamonds, please rise for one sharp rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and distinct honor to present to you Senior Master Sergeant Shaun M. Menard, United States Air Force, retired.
It's kind of in the way. It's I think I'm doing better than what I thought it was going to be, I guess. In the blink of an eye, we're already here, right? And 23 years later, Jenna, we did it, baby. Shaun Menard, I don't like the spotlight. I don't like the attention. I like to operate behind the scenes, just get things done, work hard, be by myself, just have value with that. But Sergeant Menard, I still have a duty and obligation to do this for my fellow airmen. And my family, of course, right? It would be a disservice to them not to be in front of you today for this ceremony. I had to bring in some structure, right? So I wrote some notes. I did it because I wanted to stay on track. If you left me alone without any type of structure or notes to default to, I will get emotional, and I will probably take us into dinner instead of lunch. I'll tell you that. I want to first thank the key leaders that are in attendance today, current and former command teams. Colonel Harmon, it's glad to have you. I didn't see Mr. Ortega, but and Colonel Roderick came by. It's always been a pleasure. Colonel V, thank you for the kind words, the career summary, and painting the picture that of my experiences that brought me to where I'm at today. That is not always captured on paper. As a commander, I can honestly say you're very well put together, poised, collected, and deliberate in your actions. How far you go is going to be up to you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you. I think my comfort's coming from the fact that you guys surprised me with this equipment. I didn't ask for it. I don't like putting things on people, having to do certain things for me. You guys were living in some stress yesterday, and it was like, yeah, I don't want this, right? But I appreciate that. I appreciate what you guys have done, putting this together. Sergeant Bays, thanks again for leading this effort. For those that don't know, Joe he's already stepped in and picked up my slack in the 605th. You guys are in good hands. I promise you that. If you don't know, Joe's already applied to become a first sergeant this cycle. High expectations that he will get picked up, and he will only thrive going forward. Sky's the limit for you, brother. Big thanks to Sergeant Elliott for narrating. Not only that, huge thanks to him and Serena. I kind of described the story of our family position in Wyoming ahead of the retirement for school, just their activities, and so we could hone in on a house. Ryan and Serena caught wind of that. Instead of, they just immediately went into, what are you going to do when you get back? Well, you got a place to stay. I just said, no, I don't. I haven't been thinking about it, and they offered their home up to me. They've been very welcoming. It's been comfortable. I tell you, I've had some of the best sleep. No offense, Jenna, but I get to have the fan on, full blast, all night long, no problem. So it's been great. But thank you so much to you and Serena. It's definitely made things easier for my family and I. And thanks also for supporting my newfound business venture with scrapping. So, but Airman Gomez, got you here for good reason. Just a good news story, right? Did you ever think you were going to be here in this given moment right now, right? You're the perfect example. In my view, you and there was another member, I didn't see Senior Airman Johnson, but he did RSVP. I want to highlight him. Both of you allowed me to you guys are great examples of patience, perseverance, and what happens when you put faith in me. You entrusted me to navigate you only on the premise that I will give you my best. I never gave you any promise. You may not understand this now, but you may not understand this now, but you did more for me than I did for you. Okay? So just understand that. Chaplain G, thanks for being here. Thanks for the invocation. If you guys don't know, we're both from Louisville. Hell of a game last Saturday. I don't know if you saw that. Beat Notre Dame. That's right. And good luck to you. I'm very excited for you and your future, sir. Airman Stevens, I know she already left, but I couldn't have pictured that any better. Flag detail, that was very special to me. It's my undershirts. I put a lot of effort into my undershirts. I wouldn't say that I'm rough on them. Just very straightforward. Give them the realistic, perspective of what it's going to be when they become a first sergeant, if they still aspire to be one. Two gentlemen here, Sergeant Stallings, undershirt, and Sergeant Carter came up from South Carolina to support the flag detail, and that means everything to me. I really, really appreciate that. Love you, brother. Love you. Thank you. Sorry, I told you if I didn't have structure, man, I'd be all over the place. Huge thanks to my fellow first sergeants. RP, thanks for hearing me out yesterday. Yesterday did get the best of me. Thanks for the diamond formation. God love you all. I tell you, if you can survive being a first sergeant, you can survive anything. I will tell you this, though. I never thought I'd be gray within the first year of the position, and no one ever told me I would gain 10 pounds each year in the position. So if you still got some years ahead of you, go ahead and plan on gaining some weight. But I will tell you this. I did, in the past couple months, lose enough weight to get back into this was my initial issue service jacket at basic training. And if you don't believe me, I will show you the watermark. I can't say the same for the pants, though. But I tell you, this duty was overwhelming, but also the most rewarding. And I'm sure you guys hear that a lot. But I hope you guys can really take the time to appreciate a first sergeant. They go on above and beyond the call to intercept our hardships and tackle anything that interferes with us, keeping us connected to the mission. It takes courage on a daily basis. Like I've always said, maybe you've not heard this from me before or not, but there's nothing worse than the unknown. There's nothing worse. Jen and I are about to experience some unknowns, but at least we're going to do it together, and that's where our strength's going to come from. But back to the first sergeants. These first sergeants wake up every day and enter this unknown. And they do it every single day. There's nothing more fearful than living in the unknown. And they do it every single day for a benefit to us. So thank you to my fellow first sergeants. It's been a hell of a ride. I'm thankful I had the opportunity to serve in this position. It's uncomfortable, but it's true what they say. You learn to become comfortable being uncomfortable. We talked about the gift. Let's see. Sorry, it threw me off. You know, when you leave your family and you go out in this world and you find your spouse, you got to work hard to make them your number one. And I'll tell you, Jen, she'll remind me when I'm not making her my number one. Within the past 12 years, Jenna knew the commitments, and she was always my lateral support. And throughout, I knew when to step aside so I could support the mission. In our marriage, we complement each other very well. We have our indifferences, but we balance each other. You're a social butterfly, for example. I enjoy my alone time. At the end of this, Jen is going to carry this ceremony to another party when I just want to probably reserve myself in a dark, quiet place. Her energy is full of spice. Mine can be bland. She's never been late in her entire life. That's not the truth, but she's going to be late to her own funeral. I always have to be a day ahead. You can be, well, you are as stubborn as a mule, while I easily accommodate. The point that I'm trying to make here is that we're a perfect match for each other. We have these indifferences, but we complement each other very well. The last thing that I'll connect with is that she has the biggest, most beautiful smile I've ever seen. And that's what locked me in the first time I ever saw her. I couldn't even see the whites of her eyes, and I just knew that I was going to marry this woman. And I did. But again, she can smile. When I smile, it hurts. It comes easy to her. We joke around. She met me when I was 29. Somehow, some way, she figured out my plan. I always said I wasn't going to get married or have children until I was 30. She figured out my plan and just didn't leave when I turned 30. But I love you, babe. That's just a joke. Ultimately, you are the better half in our marriage. You've always had my back regardless, and you are relentless and have done a tremendous job as my spouse and as the mother of our two beautiful girls. My girls, sorry you can't be here. I have you here. I have a picture of Rowan, and I have Nora. I have the bracelet you made me right before I left. Rowan, my buddy, you are literally one in a million. You're so pure, kind-hearted, and so very talented. There is nothing you cannot achieve. Your mom and I would be millionaires if we could bottle up your determination and sell it. I'm looking forward to getting home and getting back to softball with you. Won't be long, kiddo. Nora, what a blessing and constant reminder you are. You continue to defy the odds each and every day. You make the best of every situation and bring a lot of joy in this world. I don't know where you found it lately, but your wit and humor is something else. Keep it up, kid, because laughter is the best medicine. Keep doing what you're doing. Never pump the brakes. This world is yours when you're ready to take it. Big thanks to my mother-in-law, Lisa. She flew out to Cheyenne. That way the girls could stay in school, their activities, and tend to our zoo of animals. My parents, My parents, it was a nice balance that I had. It really was. In my view, I was very, very fortunate when others would think differently. We had our struggles, but neither one of my parents would let me be defined by this in a negative way. Mom, you're a saint. You've always been able to provide reason when there was none to be found. You taught me how powerful love can be, how to utilize it, but also how to simultaneously protect my heart. Your spirit and ability to sustain happiness, no matter the hand you were dealt in life. You are the perfect example of what to model, not only for myself, but for others. Thank you. My dad taught me how to get in tune with my instincts and how to rely on them. Additionally, my father provided the mental framework and ability to be observant from all angles. Because of him, I am able to see what's not there. My parents were great. They gave me a lot of freedoms to experience life for itself and responsibilities at an early age. And all I could say is that's paying dividends to this day. I got to thank my extended family. Hopefully we'll be able to capture all this and send it out to you. Thank you to my Wyoming network of friends and family. Without question, you all stepped in and took care of my girls in my absence. You know, if I took the time to thank everyone in my military career who had an impact and influence on me, it would take another 23 years. I had many look out for me in my best interest. I had many good influencers, mentors, and humble leaders. They say it takes a lifetime to develop character. Well, I feel as though my parents laid the foundation, my dirt boys empowered it, my civil engineers advanced it, and my command team's triads as a first sergeant refined it. Without a doubt, Jen and I and our family are set up for success during this transition. Overall, I've had a very fortunate career, whether my encounters were good, bad, or indifferent. Everyone that I associated with has had an impact on me, and I am forever grateful. Today, I'm not going to consider myself retired. I'm not going to be able to turn this off. I'm sure in some fashion, some way, I'll fall back and continue to serve society just in a different capacity. So being said, I want to leave here today. I feel as though it's customary to leave you all with a few things that have helped me through my career and maybe to help with yours. Number one, don't speak too soon. That saved my ass a time or two, believe it or not. Attitude and effort are the only things truly within your control. Everything else is not. Aim for perfection. I promise you, you will land on excellence. For me, excellence equates to 90%. You always should leave room for failure, growth, and opportunity. Continue to make everyone you're responsible for better than you, in the Air Force and outside those gates. Doing so, we will continue to advance as a force and as a society. Don't ever think to be successful you need to be something other than yourself. Find simplicity and accept your strengths. You don't have to be a genius, charismatic, or naturally gifted with charisma to be successful. I mean, just look at me. Window everything down to the simplest form and capitalize on your strengths. You'll just be fine, I promise. Purpose and boundaries. Know your purpose and know your boundaries. Keep purpose in front of you and define and refine your boundaries as needed. Lastly, I'll leave you guys with this. Sadly, I didn't see this until the end. Connections. If there's one thing that I had to do all over again, I would have done a better and more deliberate job of maintaining connections. These past few years consisted of me firing, forgetting, and aiming for the next target. With any remaining time left, all I would do is reload my ammunition for the next possible encounters. Please take the time to connect and maintain it. It's important. We are each other's greatest teachers and resource. Believe me, it's a lot easier to maintain connection than it is to have to explain the disconnection. And remember this, accomplishments are short-lived and will fade. Connections are everlasting, cherished, and not forgotten. I want to thank you all for your time. It's been truly my privilege and honor. Thank you. Thanks, brother. Yeah. Appreciate you. What do I do now?
I'll finish up if you want. Yeah, just hang out for a second.
You get out your way. We'll just put that with that.
I got you. Before we close, would you like me to turn it over? At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Vogler and Chief Flynn, please come forward. Please be seated. That's in the script.
All right, so Sergeant Menard has mentioned a couple of times the importance of the triad. The triad, for those that you don't know, is typically the squadron commander, the squadron senior enlisted leader, and the first sergeant. The three of us have had an incredible relationship, a lot of closed-door sessions, a lot of just discussions on the way ahead, and just kind of talking through a lot of issues. Tremendously proud of this team, and we are going to miss you tremendously. You left a big hole for us to fill. To recognize his efforts on the triad and his impact to the 605th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, got you a little gift here.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Senior Master Sergeant Menard. The United States Air Force and the men and women of the 605th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron are proud of Senior Menard's service and leadership to our great nation. We wish him and his family every success in their future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. We go. This concludes today's ceremony. Please join us for the reception where you may congratulate Senior Master Sergeant Menard and his wife on their fantastic career in the United States Air Force. Thank you all for attending and have a great day.